Hi everyone, and welcome back to Roll for Damage. Today I have with me Shannon from ParadiceRPG, and she's going to be answering a few questions about her characters, Sloane and Scarlet. Hi Shannon.
Hi everybody, how's it going?
So you've received a few questions from people that have seen you play, and then I have a few of my own.
Okay.
So,
awesome.
First question. I think this is in regards to our, not this session just went past, but the one before it, where Sloane had a moment. What just happened? And what has gotten into you from smug looking barrel?
Oh my god, you could call it a moment. Yeah. Well, she did have a moment. So, in regards to what just happened, I myself, the player, am still trying to process what just happened. There's a lot. You know, she just... Oh my god, her echo came out for the first time, which I have been so eager to play because we've been sitting on that for like 3 months now?
Oh, wow, yeah.
A really long time. So that was really cool. I liked the ferocity that comes with that. So there was a whole bunch of time that Sloane was missing, and there was a chunk of time that she was missing between when she was a raider and when she met Auric, and she doesn't know what happened. And in that episode, we found out what happened. And I don't want to spoil too much for anybody that hasn't watched it yet, but it is a source, or it is the source of her rage. And it was just, there's a lot of it, a lot of rage. And for anybody that's watched Sloane, she's like, I don't want to say she's not an angry person because she clearly is, but like she's pretty simple, and when she's not angry, she's really like soft spoken and gentle almost. But when she is having a moment, watch out.
Yeah, she does seem very sweet a lot of the time, and then just gets in combat, and it's like gets that first little taste of blood, and then just goes
and
ballistic.
Yep.
She can be very, very dangerous.
Yeah.
Okay. So what have you learnt about like what's got into you since, I mean, spoiler alert for anyone who hasn't watched it, skip forward like a minute. But what do you know so far from the game about what has gotten into you?
So, as Nova said, spoilers, so skip if you haven't. So, the source of Sloane's ungodly rage is coming from her Khopesh. She found it when she was raiding Nia's village, Veclaran, and and correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounded like it was behind some sort of like glass case. It was like an artifact that was important to Veclaran. And while her tribe was raiding, they found it and were going to steal it. And before they could steal it, the people of Veclaran, well, two very important people from Veclaran, came upon them and tried to stop them from taking it, where in the hubbub, the case got smashed and the Khopesh ended up in the snow. And as this sort of like scuffle is happening, Sloane sees that Khopesh and she immediately goes for it. Like she hucks this person off of her and immediately dives for the Khopesh. And then she hears this voice saying, like, essentially saying, like, do you accept these terms? Like, I can give you all of this power and you can stop the terrible things that are about to happen, but you have to accept the power. And she did, and then she just sees red and just starts cutting down everyone and everything in her path. So her rage is coming from that Kopesh.
I do look forward to seeing you have another sees red moment. I'm sure eventually it'll happen.
Yeah, probably.
Alright. Question 2 in regards to Scarlet.
A baby.
Arms or daggers?
Daggers, obviously. I need my arms to wield the daggers.
Okay.
Strawn.
The second part is no, but seriously. How much of the layout of the Crimson Court does she know, and how much access does she have?
So I don't know. I don't think there hasn't been a lot of court lore that has come out on stream yet. So I don't want to say too much about it because I don't want to give anything away. I will say that, I almost said Sloane, Scarlet does have a level of access that other acolytes in the court don't. And there's a reason for it. I don't believe it's come out on stream yet, so I'm not going to talk about it. However, she knows the basic ins and out of the court. She knows how it operates. She knows that the Cirrus is probably the one who is running the show, even though there's the king. Mason is the king of the court, but everything that he's doing is being directed by the Cirrus. So the Cirrus is really the one who is calling the shots here. So she knows that the Cirrus is looking for her because Scarlet abandoned the court for reasons that have not come out on stream yet. So I'm sorry, this is not a very helpful answer to the question because there's a lot that I can't talk about yet. But so the Cirrus knows that she abandoned the court, and one of the key phrases that has come out of this is the Crimson Court does not forgive. So the Cirrus is sending assassins after her to kill her because she knows court secrets, she knows how the court operates, and she's a loose end that needs to be taken care of, essentially. So that's where she's at with the court. And I can't wait to get more into the court. And now that we are in court territory in the campaign, I think we're going to get a lot more court lore. And I'm very excited. Very, very excited.
So
I love that part of the story.
So in short, you have more access than people know about, and probably know the layout a bit more than has been revealed as well. It's just we have to wait until that all sort of gets revealed. Yes, and I honestly can't remember if it's a conversation that I had with Sean or if it's a conversation that happened in game. So just in case it was a conversation I had with Sean and not in game, I'm not going to spoil it. Fair enough. I'm sure you could ask Short.
Yeah,
and we'll be able to find out soon. Okay, so next one is for Sloane. It's by the same person, Zabirian. Has she realized yet just how dangerous Auric is? Because Sarah shows clear concern, but I haven't picked up much from Sloane's reactions.
So at the moment, Sloane doesn't see Auric as dangerous. She sees Auric as her best friend, her closest friend, essentially, because he was the first person that she met outside of her tribe, and they've been together for so long, and they've had adventures together, they've had time to talk to each other, to get to know each other. So Sloane feels very protective of Auric, and any time that Saros, even looks at him wrong, like, Sloane is going to go to Auric's defense because he is her closest friend, and he's been nothing but good to her, and she will die for him, essentially. So she does not want anybody to hurt Squishy Boy because he's very squishy. So how dangerous could he be if he's so squishy?
I mean, he was very close to experimenting on you last session.
Yes, he was. Yes, he was. And honestly, if he had gone with it, Sloane probably would have gone with the flow, because it was something Auric was asking her to do. And I'm sure in the past she's helped him with experiments before, so this wouldn't have been any different. Although I will say she was very skeptical of said ooze. Very, very skeptical.
I mean,
and was very distraught when he subjected Gladstone to said ooze.
I don't think anyone was like, oh, this ooze seems trusting, we can...
Right.
This is okay.
Yeah.
And yeah, you, I mean, watching the VOD back, you and then definitely Leaf in hearing just what I was describing was just like, that ooze, no, I don't want any part of that. Alright, I have some questions for you in regards to Sloane and Scarlet. And I think
Sure.
a good one to start with, considering how much you trust Auric, is it nice to play someone that's so trusting? Because Scarlet seems the opposite of this.
She is 100% opposite. She doesn't trust anybody except herself, although she's slowly starting to trust the party, particularly Kieran. But yes, it's very interesting to play somebody so trusting, because as Scarlet, my first instinct is to just immediately go against whatever somebody said. You know, it's just I immediately look for something that's, quote, wrong with what they said and why I wouldn't agree with it. Whereas with Sloane, she's, you know, she doesn't have a huge worldview. She's only known her tribe and everything that, you know, her tribe did. And she only has the time with Auric outside of her tribe, and you know, he's basically showing her the world and what life could be as not a raider. So it's very easy to just, you know, whatever he says, you know, goes. And I also love, you know, like you and I, Nova, had, you know, decided that intelligence was going to be her lowest stat, but I didn't want to play her dumb. I didn't want that to be how I RP'd that low intelligence. So I decided to make it her being naive and just very easy to trust people that she knows well. So I like the difference between the two. It's kind of like the opposite ends of the spectrum here. It's like super trusting and trust no one.
Yeah, I think we ended up talking and saying that you didn't want to have, because there was a lot of low wisdom in the party already, we didn't want to lower your wisdom. So we said, instead of being, you know, you noticing the problems with people, you were good at just noticing things in general, you're good at that survival and tracking, all those sorts of things, which you need to have wisdom for. But when it comes to people, you almost push everything aside to try to trust them, to try to see the better part of them, even when you're like seeing things that are clearly wrong, and you're like, no, it's fine. I can trust these people. So as opposed to being unwise, it's meant to be a clear lack of, you know, if it was like real life, you almost say a life experience. It's sort of like a child would. They're just like, they don't know any better. So
exactly. Yeah, exactly.
So question 2 then is, both Sloane and Scarlet are just badasses. Apart from the trust part of it, what similarities do you see and differences do you see between them?
So, similarities between them. Thank you for calling them badasses, because that is exactly the type of character I wanted to play. I always have ever since I started playing D&D, I've wanted to play badass female leads. You know, strong female characters. That is my shtick, and that's what I am sticking to it. That was a really bad pun. I'm very sorry. Anyway, so I wanted to play strong, confident characters, because, as I've said this in lots of other conversations before, for me, D&D is therapy, and I like to, you know, practice confidence. I like to practice, self-assurance and things like that, because that's something that I, as a human, as Shannon, struggle with. So I really like to play that characteristic in my characters. I also, for whatever reason, and you can confirm this with Sean, I love to play angry characters. I don't know why. I really do. I'm not an angry person. And it just, but I guess apparently I am, because every single character I play has some sort of just rage in them, for a lack of a better term. And speaking of rage, I have grown to love the barbarian class. I just love the for lack of a better term, the badassery that comes with that class. And I remember when I was making Sloane, I knew I wanted her main character to be a barbarian. But when I was making Scarlet, that didn't even cross my mind. She's going to be a rogue. She's going to be a rogue through and through. She's going to be edgy. We're going to lean into the edgy rogue stereotype, because I definitely wanted to do that. But as her lava genasi and fiery anger and her temper started becoming more of a thing, I was like, you know what? I think I need a level barbarian just so I can have the rage. And I only really plan on using it. I'm still kind of trying to find the balance right now with it, but I only really plan on using it for RP reasons. Like, I would only use my rage when I am furious, like just so, like, because Scarlet's got a temper. She's angry a lot of the time. So I'm not going to go into every combat or every situation, quote, raging the mechanical way. But I do I like having it just for RP reasons. And, it does that with Sloane as well. And I love that you and I have developed a kind of a scale, an escalating scale for Sloane's rage, which has been a lot of fun to play.
I'm glad you liked it. Now people in the comments, and you correct me if I'm wrong, but sneak attack you get when you have advantage, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
And then your barbarian lets you get advantage through recklessly attacking.
Right.
So that's super.
And there's that too.
Super
that's
dangerous.
Super.
Yeah, you can just jump out of nowhere and recklessly attack to sneak attack.
I do need to take another level in barbarian if I want that to happen, and I haven't decided if I'm going to do that yet. The next one I'm going to take is going to be another level of rogue, so I can get another sneak attack dice. But I am toying with the idea of taking another level of barbarian for Scarlet just to get that reckless.
Okay. Trying to think now, what would be the best part? What if you? So okay then. You've got a bit of knowledge with the bear totem barbarian, because that's all the totem warrior barbarian is what you're playing right now.
Mm-hmm.
What would you choose for Scarlet?
Honestly, I would have to do some more research. I don't really know what the other totems are. Are you pulling out a book right now to look at the other one?
I might be. I'm just like, for some reason, I'm just going like, oh, the Zealot might be really cool, just because you can flavor it with the lava genasi side really well. Because instead of being like holy divine power, it's just like fire, just like emanating from your weapons. And then because they get, you get resurrected. You get spells that bring you back to life don't cost material components. So someone just casts it, and you just like spring, like, if you've died, your body falls to the ground, and she'll just be like, the lava from like your blood like flows over you. You just like crack out of that molten shell back alive again, and like it's just really good visuals for the Zealot right now.
I am all about the fiery visuals for Scarlet. I love the fire theme that we've got for her. So yeah, I am all about that.
But yeah, no, I'm really curious to hear what you say for that one when you eventually get to it, and I'm going to flick through this a little bit later.
Yeah. Because my original thought, like, I only wanted to take one level in Barbarian because I only wanted the Rage. That's all I wanted, and I was going to go strictly Rogue for the rest of it. But as we're talking here, you're making some real good points. You're making some real good points. I do need to take some more levels in Rogue though, because I got to stay true to my girl. She's a rogue through and through.
Look, I don't want to get into the whole mechanics conversation, but mechanically speaking, 17 rogue, you're an assassin, right?
Mm-hmm.
Gets you Death Strike, and then 3 in another class is still really, really good. So, yeah, awesome.
I have some things to think about then.
So, okay, so they're both angry characters.
Yep.
They both have some sort of like, almost like hidden rage power, lava, and the Shadow Barrington.
Yes, I love that. That's what we've decided to call it.
But is there anything else that you kind of see that makes them sort of the same? They both have this idea of like going. I mean, to me, it seems they both have the idea of there's something from their past that they're going to have to deal with, and it's a similar sort of thing to it. You've got this court, and you've got your tribe, and I know a lot of D&D characters have like a thing from their past they've got to deal with, but it's a lot more similar here than it could be with other things. Or other people could be like, you know, a specific bad guy. You've got like entire groups of people on both sides of this that you have to deal with. Was that a conscious choice, or it just happened to fall into place like that?
Yeah, I think it just happened to fall in place like that. But at the same time, I do love I love tragic backstories. The more trauma I can pack into there, the better. Yeah, I really put my girls through some shit. But you do bring up a very good point. Like, they both have things from their past that they have to cope with. And for Scarlet, like, there's the court, but I would actually say it's more similar that she has to deal with the fact that her brother is a crime lord, and she has to come to terms with that, just like Sloane has to come to terms with the fact that she's a deadly warrior, and that she doesn't want to be like that. Sloane doesn't want to be like that, but in order to, you know, essentially save the world, like, that's who she has to become. And she has to, you know, accept that, just like Scarlet has to accept the fact that her brother is not the person who he was 10 years ago. He's not the same 18-year-old the last time she saw him. Like, he's a completely different person, and she has to accept that in order to move forward. Just like Sloane has to accept who she is to move forward.
I do like self-acceptance stories, because it's really on the player to decide if they want it to happen, or if they want to continue it, and you can get a lot of good narratives out of it. So yeah, they're fun.
Yeah, good RP.
What do you feel are the key differences then between the two characters?
Temperament-wise, like, obviously they both have their rage, they're both angry, but when they're not, like, Scarlet's sulky. You know, where Scarlet is sulky and brooding, Sloane is gentle and curious. You know, their non-rage personalities, I think, are different. And, you know, there's obviously difference in appearances, that's obvious, but I'm trying to think what other differences there are here. Like, where Sloane, I think we were just talking about that, Sloane is quick to trust, Scarlet is not. And Scarlet really relies on herself and has a very hard time trusting other people, whereas Sloane is a more of like go with the flow kind of person, and if people need help, she'll help them.
Do you think if Auric ends up breaking that trust, do you think that Sloane would then become more like Scarlet, more hard to trust? Like, you would just sort of like break her a little bit?
Yeah, I think so, because this is she values that relationship so much. She lives by that relationship. Like, that's how she, makes her decisions or makes major decisions. It's like, all right, what would be best for Sloane and Auric, or what would Auric do in this situation? Because, he's the person she knows the best right now. So if that trust is broken, yeah, she's 100% going to, I think, become more like Scarlet, in that she's not going to be as quick to trust anybody else, because she will learn that trust can be broken, and it's not something that you just have forever.
Okay. All right. Which character I know you've played one for a long period of time and one for quite a short period of time, but and I'm not going to be offended here. But which one do you find to be your favorite one to play?
Oh man, I could either piss you off or I get pissed Sean off.
I honestly, you have a length of history with Scarlet that Sloane can't touch. You have that's built up your home campaign, so it's completely understandable to say Scarlet. But I'm just trying to. There's a follow-up question to this. So.
Sure. And I am going to go with Scarlet, because there's so much there. Like you said, there's so much history with her. And, Sean and I wrote her story together, and we came up with the court together. And there's just so much like DM player history as well as PC history that is just, I love to think back as like into Scarlet's story, where it started, and just to see where she is now, and to see all of that character growth. Like, don't get me wrong, I love Sloane. I love my brick. I love everything about her. But I've just had more time with Scarlet to really see her character grow and develop. And that's been very satisfying.
You love all of your children equally.
I do. I really do. Yes, I do. That is the teacher in me.
All right. So the follow-up question was going to be, why do you find Scarlet more satisfying to play? Is it mostly the history, or do you identify more with the RP a little bit? What sort of what keeps you enjoying Scarlet?
So the history, for sure. I love her story. I love what Sean and I have come up with for her. I love her Crimson Court arc. I love the story we have with her brother. Her story is one of my absolute favorites that I've ever, played. She's also taught me a lot about emotional acting. And that's been something that I've really enjoyed exploring. I love to RP really emotional, heavy, dark themes. That's been something that I've discovered ever since I've started playing D&D, actually. Like my first ever D&D character also has a very traumatic, tragic backstory with a lot of emotion in it. And I find that when my stories are rooted in emotion like that and tragedy, it really fuels my RP, and it gives me a very solid foundation for live play. And I knew at the beginning of last year, so the beginning of 2020, I decided, for whatever reason, one of my goals was going to be to learn how to cry on cue. I really, really, really wanted to learn how to do that, just because in my mind, that makes somebody an actor. Is if you can just cry like that, or if you can get into that emotional headspace, you're an actor. And I really wanted to be there. So when the opportunity came up for Scarlet to find out the truth about her brother and how much that was going to break her, that was a chance for me to be like, yeah, okay. You know what, this is the moment. This is where it's going to happen. I'm going to be 1,010% in her mindset. I'm going to feel her emotions. I'm going to cry. That's what's going to happen. And I'm going to cry on stream. It's going to happen. And it happened. And it was because of all of the prep work that I did, that Sean did with me, that we had built up that story to that point. All of the foundation we had done. And I also I'd been listening to a lot of sad music, like a lot of sad scores, because that really gets me into a sad headspace. And all of that episode where Scarlet finally found the truth out about her brother, I had been listening to a couple of songs that really just give me tears every time. And I'd been listening to that throughout the whole session in the background. And so when the moment finally happened, I was feeling what she was feeling. And to me, that is the most pure role play. And that is what I strive for when I play D&D, because I love to perform. And for me, that is the most satisfying type of performance.
Okay.
That was a very long-winded answer. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. I'm mostly thinking that I want you to send me those scores so that I can just have them start playing in the background at some point. You'd be like, motherfucker.
You son of a bitch.
Okay. Alright. So, more of a joke question, really. But if they were the same level, how do you think Sloane and Scarlet would fare against each other?
Oh, man. Honestly, I think Sloane would kick Scarlet's ass. I really do. Like, Sloane is just a powerhouse, where, like, Scarlet is, like, quick and nimble, but, like, I don't think she's fast enough to beat Sloane. Sloane is just a whole lot of anger and just a whole lot of barbarian, and I just think she would squish her.
Yeah, Sloane is somewhat intimidating. I think the party realized that when they were like, Sloane's I think this like cute teddy bear that occasionally breaks people. Mm-hmm. But and then you went after the orc and they were like, oh shit, sometimes she can't be controlled and she hasn't got a weapon right now, she's doing that with her bare hands. Shit. Yeah, it was really good watching the party be like, oh wait, she is actually a legitimate threat even to us. It could be anyway.
Yep.
Alright, do you have anything else you want to say about Scarlet or Sloane before we wrap this up?
I mean, I'm just going to say what I always say about them. I love them. I love them so much. They are two of my favorite characters to play just because their stories, their motivations, their accents. That's another thing that I love. Like, that really helps me get into characters, having a voice for somebody. Like, and I'd never done a Nordic accent before, and I was like, I really want to do one. And actually, when we were coming up with character concepts, I had just started watching Vikings, and I was like, yeah, Lagertha is just amazing, and I want a badass character just like her. And now we have Sloane.
Yes, Lagertha is an amazing character. And so is Sloane. So thank you very much for coming here and answering a few questions.
Of course. I could talk about my girls all day.
Hope everyone enjoyed it and learned something. Thank you all for coming to watch. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.